What's up, everybody? Matt Modi here with the Jedi Modi Sports Network, and it's time to give you my best NFL underdog picks for NFL Week 4. I am choosing 4 teams who are underdogs that I think have a chance to win straight up. Last week, for Week 3, was not one of my better weeks. I gave out 2 underdog picks. Unfortunately, neither of them won, but we had a great Week 2, so we're still profitable on the entire year. We have given out 9 total underdog picks. We have won 4 and lost 5. We are up 1.65 units. So hopefully we can bounce back after a rough Week 3. As I mentioned, I have 4 more for you guys. But before we can get into those picks, I will say, if you're not already, would appreciate it if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, to my YouTube channel. Helps me out a ton as I attempt to grow this. And then for this specific video, like the video, comment, let me know your thoughts. If you don't like any of my predictions, which is fine, if you have some upsets that you think I should think about, you can comment there as well. And let's chat about these underdogs. So play number 1, this is in the Packers versus Lions game, and give me the Packers to win straight up plus 111 odds at Sporttrade. Now, I do want to be clear, this game is on Thursday night, so if you're watching this after Thursday, unfortunately, you won't be able to ride with me, but I do like the Packers quite a bit to win at home on Thursday night. Last week, against a pretty good Saints defense, the Packers offense was banged up. They couldn't do anything for 3 quarters. And then they just exploded for 18 points in the 4th quarter, coming back and winning that game. It was a very impressive, resilient performance from the Packers and their offense. And also, props to Packers head coach Matt LaFleur, who down 14, they scored a touchdown, went for 2, got it, and they were up by 6, and they literally won the game because they went for 2 after scoring the touchdown to bring it to a 1-possession game. So stuff like that just shows the sign of at least a smart coach. And through 3 games of the post-Aaron Rodgers era, I got to say, I'm also pretty impressed with Jordan Love. I think he might just be a good quarterback. We're going to talk about him in a little bit more detail. But what I like about the Packers is they're also a pretty well-rounded team, right? They're pretty good on offense and they're pretty good on defense. They got the 9th best offense in the NFL and they have the 10th best defense in the NFL. And this is according to DVOA. And then on the Lions side, they've looked pretty good through 3 weeks. They're 2-1 on the year, but we all know how dramatic the home road splits can be for Jared Goff. So the fact that this is in Lambeau definitely helps us. You know, I wish this was in Lambeau in like December when we have to see the cold weather Goff and see what he looks like. But I think that the Packers defense is going to be able to have some success against the Lions offense. And yes, the Lions defense has looked good last year, and especially their performance last week against the Falcons. But to me, that had a lot more to do with Desmond Ridder missing open receivers than it did with the Lions defense actually looking that great. In week 2, they got smoked by Geno Smith, and I could foresee something similar happening in this game against the Packers and Jordan Love, who I mentioned. I think Jordan Love is quite good. One stat that I did think was surprising was he has the highest ADOT in the NFL. ADOT stands for average depth of target. I love when quarterbacks throw the ball down the field, especially when they have success in doing so and they're not just chucking it for the sake of chucking it. And overall, looking at the DVOA, has him as the 4th best quarterback in the NFL through 3 games. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's actually a top 5 quarterback, just that that's how he's been playing through 3 games. I have a lot of faith that he is going to be able to keep it up in this one. Hopefully, they should get some pieces back on offense between Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, 2 offensive linemen that were banged up last week. If they get those players back, maybe this line swings a little bit. But regardless, getting plus money for the Packers to win straight up, I do like a lot. As our first play, next up for our second pick of the slate in the Dolphins versus Bills game, I like the Dolphins to win straight up. This is at plus 125 odds at BetMGM. Now, I'm just going to say this before I even talk about the actual analysis of the Dolphins winning. This game's going to be awesome. As of right now, this game features the number 1 team in the NFL, according to DVOA, which is the Bills, and the number 2 team in the NFL, according to DVOA, which is the Dolphins. The Dolphins have the best offense by far. They just scored 70 points with the 21st ranked defense. The Bills, significantly more well-rounded with the 5th ranked offense and the 2nd ranked defense. It's also an interesting situation because both of these teams are coming off of blowouts in their last game. Obviously, the Dolphins being the bigger name here, putting up a 70 burger on the Broncos and winning by 50, whereas the Bills had a rough offensive performance in week 1 All Josh Allen needed to do was not turn the ball over. He was incapable of doing it. But since then, the Bills have scored a combined 75 points in their last 2 games, while also looking good defensively as well. But I got to say, I watched that entire Bills-Commanders game on Sunday, and the Commanders did a pretty good job moving the ball. They had one drive that stalled in the red zone when they couldn't score at the 1-yard line. They had another drive where Sam Howell threw an interception in the end zone. And overall, Sam Howell took a ton of sacks and he threw 4 interceptions. That's not going to happen with Tua and how good Tua has been, especially if they can get Waddle back. In the Bills' defense overall, the last 2 weeks where they've looked, they've looked dominant through 3 weeks. They played Zach Wilson, Jimmy G, and Sam Howell. Again, Tua is on a different level than those guys. And you could make the same argument, I understand, about the Dolphins offense and the teams that they've played. The Broncos were supposed to have a good defense. They're terrible. The week before that, the Dolphins looked pretty good against a pretty good Patriots defense. The week before that, the Dolphins smoked the Chargers and their bad defense. So overall, what this is telling us is that these are 2 good teams. The sign of a good team is when they can smoke a bad team and take advantage of a bad individual unit, which both of these teams have done. When it comes down to, at the end of the day, I am a believer in the Dolphins. I think this is one of those years where Dolphins could just have a special season where things just go right for them. I think that they're going to be able to put up a ton of points against the Bills. I trust their offense and Mike McDaniel to scheme some things up. Josh Allen, very feast or famine. He even threw an interception in a game where they had that handled against the Commanders. You worry about Josh Allen turning the ball over. So for plus 125 odds, I love the Dolphins to win straight up as our second play. And third up, this is in the Falcons versus Jaguars game. Give me the Falcons to win straight up, plus 135 odds at Barstool. I know that I just roasted Desmond Ridder, and I still think that he stinks as a quarterback. I don't think he's good. I also think the Jags are just bad as well. And they're one of those teams where they have the talent, especially on offense with Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley and Travis Etienne, but they're just not a team that you can trust. And they went through the same thing last year. This Jags team just got smoked by the Texans. They were down 17-0 at halftime, and maybe they were coming back. Then they got outscored 10-13-0 in the fourth quarter. They just got smoked by the Texans of all teams. And I know how bad the offense of the Falcons looked last week against the Lions. A lot of that was Desmond Ridder missing open receivers, which he's definitely something that he can do again. But the Falcons, the way they have success is running the ball. The Lions' rush defense has historically been good for 3 years now under Dan Campbell. The Jaguars' defense is not nearly as good. So if the Falcons can have more success running the ball with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, it opens things up a little bit for a bad quarterback in Desmond Ridder to at least have a little bit of an easier targets than he had against the Lions. And like I said, this is the same thing the Jags did last year. The Jags started 1-6 last year before putting it together at the end of the season. Everybody thought they were going to come into this year and start the way they ended last year, including myself. I was high on the Jags this year, going to take an L on that one. They're just a team that doesn't have their stuff together. And the Falcons at least have an identity and know who they are. They're going to be limited in terms of their ceiling by Desmond Ridder, but at least they have a high floor in terms of their rushing game, pretty creative rushing game as well. And if Ridder can just hit open targets, if the running game is opened up, their offense can have success. So I like the Falcons to win this one straight up as our third pick. And next up, fourth and final pick of the evening. This is in the Monday Night Football game. I like the Seahawks to win straight up against the Giants. It's at plus 110 odds at FanDuel. I really have no idea why the Seahawks are underdogs here. Pretty much every statistical measure you look at has the Bears, or pretty much every statistical measure you look at has the Giants as either the worst or the second worst team in the NFL, with only the Bears worse. DVOA has the Giants as the second worst team in the NFL, with the worst offense in the NFL, even worse than the Bears, who have been a total train wreck. DVOA has the Giants as a worse offense and the fourth worst defense. Now, sure, you can tell me that the Giants have played pretty good competition when they got annihilated by the Cowboys and the 49ers. They needed a second half comeback to beat the Cardinals, who might not be as bad as people think. The sign of a good team is not getting blown out by other good teams. If they were, in fact, good, they would at least be able to hang, but they couldn't hang. They just got annihilated. And even if, I know I've mentioned DVOA a lot, if you want to look at other advanced stats, PFF has the Giants as the worst team in the entire NFL, with the fifth worst offense and the fourth worst defense. So no matter how you slice it, the Giants stink. And the Seahawks on the other side of the field seem to have righted the ship after a pretty gross week 1 loss to the Rams. Currently, they're the 13th ranked team in the NFL according to DVOA. They have the 4th best offense, which unsurprisingly, that also means Geno Smith has been performing pretty well. PFF has them as the 11th best quarterback in the NFL. DVOA has them as the 7th best quarterback in the NFL. And if you want to talk about Daniel Jones, DVOA has him as the 3rd worst. PFF has him as the 25th best quarterback. So both of the advanced stats you look at has Geno Smith is good, Daniel Jones is bad, the Seahawks is good, the Giants is bad. I don't understand why the Giants are the favorite here. I love getting the Seahawks to win straight up in this one as our 4th and final pick of the evening. 1 unit plays on all 4 of these. If we can get 2 of the 4 to win, we will at least be making money. Obviously, we want to hit all 4. So if you are riding with me, make sure to comment and let me know. Other than that, remember to like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.